Hi guys, Steady Eddie here, coming to you from the city of Udon Thani in Isan, Thailand. It's February, the weather is terrific, and I'm enjoying my stay here. So, the question I'll be asking in this video is Thailand still cheap in 2024? Well, it's a simple question, but one that you can't really answer simply. The answer is actually very complex. You see, the problem I have with so-called cheap countries is that people so often exaggerate how cheap they are. We've all heard the stories about how dirt cheap Thailand is, and some of these stories are taller than the skyscrapers in Bangkok. I've travelled to many countries, and I've never been to one yet that is as cheap as what people have told me it's going to be. Somehow, if you really want to enjoy yourself, you'll always end up spending a fair bit of money. So, I think the best way to decide whether Thailand is cheap or not is to compare it to other countries. Now, Thailand has always been famously cheap, but I'm old enough to remember when European countries were cheap. I went to Italy and Spain years before the euro came in, and these countries were great value. In fact, years ago it seemed all countries were good value compared to Britain. I recall people saying America and Australia were good value. Well, times have changed, and now I'm hearing not but reports of how expensive these countries have become for the tourist. So people chase good value when they go on holiday. You can't blame them. So countries like Bulgaria and other Eastern European places started to gain in popularity, but now even some of them are becoming more and more expensive. So where does this leave Thailand? Is Thailand still the answer for those seeking good value that they can no longer find in holidays in the West? Well, I'm in Thailand now in 2024, and I'm here to bring you some up-to-date info. Yes, Thailand is still a cheap country, but not as cheap as it was when I first came here around the year 2000. Then the exchange rate was about 73 Thai baht to a UK pound. Now you're lucky to get 45 to a pound. Huge difference, and the weaker pound in recent years has meant taking a holiday here is going to be more expensive for us Brits than ever before. You know, when you look at the price of things. So let's look at the Thai prices in 2024 compared to Western prices. Well, first of all, you've got to get here to Thailand. Now, depending where you are in the world, flights are going to vary. But if I was in the UK and wanted to go to Europe, well, the flights are cheap. Yes, they really are. In recent years, I've been to Spain, Greece, Turkey, Romania, and the flights are good value if you shop around. So this already puts you ahead of Thailand because flight prices have gone up since the great lockdowns of a couple of years ago. Back in 2019, I could get a return flight from London to Bangkok for much cheaper than I could get one now. And if you want to travel at peak time to Thailand, December, then flight prices are usually more expensive than they were a few years ago. If you want cheaper flights, I can recommend Air China, the one I recently used, but it wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea. Okay, so flights to Thailand are not cheap. But Thailand is a long-haul destination, so you just got to expect that. So how about the next big cost? Well, this is where Thailand wins hands down over Europe. Hotels and accommodation. Hotels are great value in Thailand. You don't believe me? Well, look at the popular websites to book hotel rooms around the world, and you will see the massive difference between Thailand and other countries, especially Europe. Even in Bangkok, the most visited city in the world, I can stay in a nice comfortable hotel room with a private bathroom, aircon, the works, for about £35 UK a night. and that is in a main touristy area within walking distance to the nightlife areas. In Europe, you simply can't do that. In capital cities like Paris, London or wherever, I'd probably be talking at least 5 times that price for the same standard. Elsewhere in Thailand, hotels get cheaper. In smaller towns like Thani, you can stay in nice budget hotels for 15 or 20 quid a night. Where could you get that in Europe? Even in Romania, where I travelled recently, you'd be paying much more than that. So yes, Thailand hotels are great value overall, and this can make a huge difference to your overall budget. If you were in Thailand for quite a while, then you can always rent a condo, which will be better value in the long run. What I've noticed about condos is that the cheaper ones, while they look good, are often away from the main nightlife areas, so you may need transport at night. You may want to consider that. Another point I'd like to make is that some of those wonderful Thai islands are no longer as cheap as they were for accommodation. Everyone knows somebody who stayed in a bamboo hut in a popular Thai island for $1 a night many years ago. Well, having travelled to those islands in recent times, I can tell you that some of those bamboo huts can be expensive as some hotels in Bangkok, not cheap anymore. Okay, so Thailand is more expensive to get here from the west, but the accommodation is much cheaper overall. So how about food? Well, if you want to eat out every day, Thailand is terrific value. Every major town has plenty of eating options, and it's a very reasonable price. To be fair, there are many European resorts where you can get good value. Places like Benidorm and the Canary Islands are probably still good value, but overall I think Thailand is still better value. For food, you will probably find Bangkok and Phuket are the most expensive places. Remember, if you want a fancy restaurant with sea views and all that, you're going to pay a lot more money. That's up to you. I'd rather eat a couple of blocks away from the main tourist action and get better value. So, flights are more expensive to Thailand, hotels are much cheaper in Thailand, and food is a bit cheaper in Thailand than Europe. So how much is the cost of alcohol in Thailand, and how does it compare to Europe? Well, this is a more complex one than you would have thought. In Thailand, regardless of what you may have heard, beer has never been that cheap. Here they serve beer in 33cl bottles rather than pints. So a bottle of local beer in a beer bar can range from 60 to 80 baht on average. In the main tourist strips, it can be 100 baht. One of the things that surprised me is that on a recent visit to Phuket, the most notoriously expensive island in Thailand, I could get cheaper beer in the main tourist strip than I could in Walking Street, Pattaya, a beach resort that is overall a lot cheaper than Phuket. In some of the more rural places in Thailand, beer will be cheaper still, but it's still not dirt cheap anywhere. So how do beer prices in Thailand compare to Europe? Well, like I say, it's complex, because if you go to some cheaper European resort, you can probably get cheap beer. It may seem more expensive there, but they serve it in pints in Europe. So if you do your calculations, it probably works out similar or the same. Of course, European capitals are expensive for beer, but then Bangkok isn't cheap either. If you were drinking in the main tourist zones of Soi 4 or Soi Cowboy, beer and food can be European prices. Look at Soi Cowboy, where beer can be 180 Thai baht for a 33cl bottle. That's the equivalent to about £7 a pint. So you thought Bangkok was cheap then? So is Thailand cheaper overall for beer than European countries? You know, I'm not so sure that it is, Remember, it depends really where you drink. Bars with live bands are going to be more expensive, as are the themed English and Irish pubs in Thailand. They often serve pints in these places, but they can be expensive, especially if you want imported beer. Well, you make your mind up about the price of beer in Thailand, but one thing I will say is don't believe anyone who tells you can go out on the lash every night in Thailand and get absolutely bladdered for next to nothing. You'll get a nasty shock if you believe that. So we've covered flights, hotels, food and drink. Anything else? Well, there is transport. Thailand is great for travellers and getting around is easy. Domestic flights are good value, as are trains. I recently did a 7-hour train journey for 430 Thai baht, which is about £10 in English money. I'm sure I couldn't do that in UK or Europe. Buses are also good value, as are bulk taxis and BART buses. Even the Bangkok SkyTrain is good value. So for getting around generally, I'm sure Thailand is a fair bit cheaper than Europe. So I think we've covered enough for now. The big question is, in 2024, is Thailand still a cheap country? Well, I'd say that it is, but not if you want a 2-week holiday and you're coming from the UK or America. The cost of flights are expensive, so if good value is what you're after overall, then you'd probably be better going to a nearer country with cheaper flights. It's when you were staying in Thailand for a long time, that's when it gets better value. Unless, of course, you're out partying every night. Remember, it's the nightlife and entertainment in Thailand that's likely to blow through your budget. So I hope this video has been useful to you. Remember, this may seem a little bit of a superficial look at things, but I can't give you the prices for absolutely everything in every place in Thailand. I've got to look at the overall picture, but the overall picture is that Thailand is still a good value destination. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you like it, then give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. A big thanks to those who already have. And remember to press that all-important notification bell for latest uploads. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.